Welcome to the Hum Hindustani Poetry Podcast. I am Samina Mishra. This podcast is a curation of poetry written by children in workshops that were part of the Hum Hindustani research project. The poems explore the ideas of liberty, equality and fraternity guaranteed to all citizens by the Constitution of India. The children writing these poems are from grades 6 to 9 from 3 places. Shahin Bagh in Delhi, that was a site of a citizens' protest against the Citizenship Amendment Act. Rural Firozpur in Punjab, that was active in the farmers' protests. And Kitab Mahal, a library catering to Dalit and Muslim children in Govandi, Mumbai. The children are a mixed group. Some study in English medium private schools, some in government schools. Some children wrote in Hindi, some in English. They bring their diverse contexts into the poems they write, giving us glimpses of their lived experiences. Listening to their poems can lead us to think about our own experiences of liberty, equality, and fraternity, and examine what citizenship means. The poems can perhaps open a window to the world we seek to live in. Many different voices emerge during our workshops. And for the last episode of our podcast, we curated a poem from these diverse voices. It is a collective poem. This poem has been created with responses shared by children to a one-line exercise on the idea of liberty. Their concerns range from freedom in personal spaces as well as the outside world. Perhaps you may find your own thoughts and feelings somewhere in this amalgam.
Children's freedom. I want freedom. Freedom to play on the terrace, to roam around. Freedom to learn new things, to go anywhere like a bird. I want freedom from rope-toke, to fly a kite, to visit the Taj Mahal, to play video games, to play on the streets. I want freedom to wear expensive clothes, to visit Dubai, to wear jeans and crop tops, to call my friends for my birthday, to write about my personal life in my diary with no worries of anyone reading it. I want freedom to point out when adults are wrong, to burst like a balloon when friends say racist things. I want freedom from people who stop me from playing, freedom from police that forces a fruit seller to give fruit for free. I want freedom to live a life without pressure, to go everywhere like space. I want freedom.
What an array of freedoms! The poem lays out for us the small freedoms of choosing the clothes we want to wear, of playing video games, of calling friends for birthdays. And then there are the much larger ideas. Freedom to speak up when friends say racist things. Freedom to live a life without pressure. Freedom from being oppressed by police. The range of examples tells us how deeply children think about the world they live in, the world adults control. They tell us how our entire personhood, who we are and who we want to be, needs freedom. Does the value of liberty in our Constitution give this to us? Can this liberty allow us to build a society that is equal? Can it help us to go beyond a flattened idea of hum sab ek hain and create a community where fraternity is a robust reality, where we are truly anchored in liberty, equality, fraternity? Sampurna Chatterjee is a writer, translator, editor and teacher. She writes for both adults and young people and has collaborated on writing poetry across languages with other poets. She read this poem and shared her thoughts with us.
So there are many things I love about this poem. One, it's a gathering of expressions on freedom. The collective makes it ring true in a way that's exactly right for the subject, as freedom is a work in progress, constantly being shaped through collaborative acts. The second thing I loved is the form. It's a list poem. It lists such simple, ordinary things that we all feel, no matter what age we may be. It has a range of desires. So some want the freedom to play on the street, some want to wear expensive clothes and visit Dubai. There are no judgments being made in this poem on my idea of freedom being better than yours. I love that. It seems seamless, a merging of identities that is achieved through the refrain. I want freedom, and in Hindi, Azadi chahiye. The Hindi version, the entire poem has such a beautiful chiming rhythm. And I really appreciate that Azadi also becomes a plea for privacy, which adults rarely grant children. And three, I really like how simply it speaks the hard truths about racism, unfairness, corruption. There's no posturing in the tone, it's straight up. It embodies the thing I often tell young poets, that a poem should be full of new sounds and empty of noise. A poem should feel like it spoke in your voice. This poem captures the collective voice of children, reminding us how to see again with wide open eyes and unafraid hearts.
Children's freedom. I want freedom. Freedom to play on the terrace, to roam around. Freedom to learn new things, to go anywhere like a bird. I want freedom from rope-toke, to fly a kite, to visit the Taj Mahal, to play video games, to play on the streets. I want freedom to wear expensive clothes, to visit Dubai, to wear jeans and crop tops, to call my friends for my birthday, to write about my personal life in my diary with no worries of anyone reading it. I want freedom to point out when adults are wrong, to burst like a balloon when friends say racist things. I want freedom from people who stop me from playing, freedom from police that forces a fruit seller to give fruit for free. I want freedom to live a life without pressure, to go everywhere like space. I want freedom.
This is the last episode in our podcast, but our collective endeavour to make sense of our complicated and intertwined histories must continue. We hope the podcast created a shared space to discover what we may not have experienced, to find resonance with another's world. The children's words, the children's voices can help us find, reinforce, and celebrate the plurality that lies in the idea of Hum Hindustani. These poems are from Hum Hindustani, a project on children and citizenship for TESF India. The poems in this episode were read by
Sama Mahindru.
More details on the project can be found in the show notes. The Hum Hindustani Poetry Podcast is a production of the Magic Key Center for the Arts in Childhood and is written and hosted by me, Samina Mishra. The children reading the poems were mentored by Ananya Tripathi. Studio recordings were done at Quarter Note Studios by Amartya Ghosh. Music is by Shireen Ghosh and the vocal track you hear is Ishan Chintamani. This podcast was produced by Vaka Media. Our thanks go out to all the children who participated in the Hum Hindustani workshops and wrote these poems. You can follow us on Instagram at the Magic Key Center or visit hum-hindustani.in to know more about the project. Support for this podcast comes from Rohini Nilikani Philanthropies.